What is going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a good Tuesday. Bobby Fire, Sheet Tabor. We're going to be talking through this 8-game DraftKings slate, 11-game FanDuel slate. And you got the nice $5 tournament out there for the multi-enters. I actually had a good night last night. I doubled my buy-ins in football. It's just
you did end up doubling your money after all that?
Yeah, I ended up doubling it, but I didn't play huge volume or anything, so it wasn't anything crazy. But it was fun to see your name in first there for a while. Like, it's always a blast when that happens. And basically, me and Brandon did a show, and basically our whole thing was like just play as many from Cleveland as possible, and then literally that was all the good lineups I had was just the one run back being the Denver defense. And Jameis was
dude. I was thinking of you because I was going back and forth with a couple of those guys on Twitter last night, and all night long they were like, "Can we believe these morons are getting there with a 5-1 with the Denver defense? Yes. These morons are getting there with the 5-1. The worst plays on the board." I'm like, "Oh, please, Bobby, please, one time, just for the good guys."
Yeah, right. No, I appreciate that. But I think it's a really good NBA slate, and hopefully, I know we're always going to have late news and stuff, but there are less Q tags than usual for whatever that means. But there are still, that doesn't mean anything yet. It's just that's just the fact there's less than there usually are. I'm sure there'll be more at some point, but that at least feels good. Do you have any overall thoughts before we?
Yeah. Do you get the feeling? And again, this is something I think about that, like so sometimes it seems as though in like a 15-game slate or whatever, you get like, I don't know, 3 or 4 like things that happen, whatever. And then when you have like 4-game slates, you get like 30 things that happen. It's like the stupid slate yesterday just never stopped. Like you were waiting to the very end to see if Celtics guys were playing. Then like Ingram came in and he wasn't playing. And then at the last second, they started this Jordan Walsh guy for the Celtics, and people didn't know what to do with that. It just kept on. The hits just kept coming. So it's maybe when there's 15-game slates, it just feels like there's only 4, but there's really 50 things that we ignore.
Right.
But it's NBA is tough, and I'm looking right now at like I'm doing my points per dollar here, and the guys like near the top of my list, I'm like, really?
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what you like here.
Yeah. Let's jump into it. It should be interesting to break it down, because I like you, I had that same feeling like, wow, do I really want to do this? That Jonas Valanciunas is going to be like 60% on. I don't know about
that. Yeah. What is that all about? I don't even know what that is.
So it's because they're expecting him to start tonight, and they're playing alongside.
So what? When's the last time he played for more than 24 minutes?
He actually, until his last game, he hadn't. He played 30 in the last game. And the thing is, because the double bigs in Cleveland tonight, that he would. The thought is that he would get more minutes tonight, basically. So that's sort of what the thing is. But it definitely is speculative. It might be one of those things where all day long it looks like a great play, and then he's not starting, and then you have to decide whether you want to take the gamble. It's just a weird one. They also could end up throwing Marvin Bagley out there instead. Like, he's starting to play a few minutes, so should be interesting to figure out. Again, unfortunately, it's one of the first games, but we really won't know much, I think, until we see the starting lineup officially. All right, so we've got Philadelphia and Charlotte.
I believe so.
Yeah, let's see. Okay, so I actually, I'll jump in on this one real quick, because I actually did think that Maxey makes a lot of sense tonight. I also think the price on Paul George, I'm not sure about the minutes. I'm not sure about all that, but I think that it's cheap enough to possibly gamble on. And then Kelly Oubre was the one I had the biggest difference, the largest over the field. I had my first builds, I got to 22% of Kelly Oubre. And I just think it's an interesting, he's not projected to be owned much, but I thought it was kind of an interesting idea. And then on the other side, you have the incredibly chalky Micic, Saloon, and Brandon Miller. And I like all 3 of them as of right now. Look, we might hear about other stuff later that we want to do more than this. But as of right now, I feel like I actually have a pretty decent amount of interest in this first game.
I have like 4,000 guys from Charlotte. Like in my first build, I have this, like you said, this Vashlai Micic.
Yep.
At like almost 6x. I have Last Chance at Last Chance Saloon at 3,800. Brandon Miller at 8K. I like all those guys. I'm not really, at least first glance, getting into too much. Well, hold on. Yeah, I guess maybe Tyrese Maxey. But aside from that, for me right now, it just looks like the Charlotte guys.
Yeah, those are the main ones for me, but that's sort of why I like the idea of getting a little bit of a run back. The one thing about the saloon is one of those plays where if we do get some value like later in the day, it's going to be a completely unowned play. And he has an extremely wide range of outcomes. You just look like you just go through his games recently. He played 22 minutes his last game. He scored 6 fantasy points, but he put up 30. He put up 27 and 32 the 2 previous games. It's just a real wide range of outcomes for a French kid who's just sort of getting his feet wet. And it's really hard to count on that production. So there might be other guys later on today who look a little better, but right now we don't have that many guys in the 3K range, and he's 3,800, so it makes some sense to me. All right, you want to start off with what you got in, if anything, in the Milwaukee and Detroit game?
Yeah, sure. I got Giannis. I mean, sure. I mean, why not? I mean, he can score 70, 80 points.
Yep.
Doesn't happen all the time. It's going to be low owned, I think.
Yep.
So yeah, Giannis is in play. I don't have anything else though. I don't have really any value or anything from either side of this.
That's where I'm at the moment as well. I felt like I was supposed to, like, I really thought I would actually get to a little more because Milwaukee plays fast and it seemed like a decent spot. I would say, like, if there was one guy, I actually think Giannis at low ownership. If we find enough value, I think it's totally reasonable. And I think, I mean, historically, Tobias Harris has always played extremely well in the matchups against Milwaukee. He's a little more expensive than I want to play, but he was sort of my first like contrarian thought. He and then Cade Cunningham were the two I considered, but nobody who I got to much of in my first builds at all, other than a little bit of Giannis being a little over the field there. All right, so here's the Washington.
All right. Oh, okay. So F this. Okay. So here's what we have. I have Jonas Valanciunas, is one of the top rated point per dollar plays on the slate, and I have him at 39% ownership right now. I have Alexandre Sarr at almost 5.5x at 5,400. I have him at 30% ownership. Jordan Poole, 6,900, a little less ownership, maybe at 18% or so. I mean, it's freaking a 15-point spread. I pass. I don't know. I don't know about this. We talked about this before. Well, actually, just as we went on, Valanciunas has not played more than like 24 minutes since the Eisenhower administration until like his last game, I guess.
Yeah.
And apparently, like you were saying, I mean, there's cause for him to, for him to play more in a game with the double bigs,
and no Kuzma, the other one.
And no Kuzma, but I don't know about this. To me, I would rather not do it. but from a point per dollar perspective, they're all looking good, I guess. Evan Mobley from the other side looks like there's him, Garland, Allen. Do you really like stack Cleveland games? I mean, is that really what we do now?
They play way faster this year, and that's probably why. I mean, they've been the best team in the NBA, and it's a lot. I think like a lot of it is they've got the right coach, who's I think one of the best coaches in the NBA, and had no business being fired as the Nets coach a few years back.
Who's their coach?
It's what's his name?
Atkinson.
Yeah.
Oh, he's awesome.
Yeah, he's really, really good. And that's one of the things he wanted to do is make sure to play more. It's the same old like the old Milwaukee strategy. Like, look, if we think we're better, let's just play this game as fast as possible and get as many possessions in there.
Yes.
And eliminate some of them there to the variance. So look, if the game stays close, it's going to be hard for multiple of these Washington guys not to get here. But my feeling is the same as yours. I just don't know. Again, first builds, Joe Valanciunas was my highest owned guy after my first build, but I would like to try to be underweight, whatever that number is. Especially, I'd like to really see a starting lineup before I commit to anything. And then you've got the Poole and Brogdon. I like both of those guys quite a bit, and those are actually my favorite plays from the Washington side. Look, with no Kuzma, there should be plenty of opportunity for them. And on the Cleveland side, look, it's the great matchup, but do you really want to bet on this game staying close? What I thought was interesting is maybe instead of playing Garland, maybe playing a low on Donovan Mitchell, and especially if you're going to end up with 2 or 3 from Washington, why not get to at least some percentage of Mitchell, who's going to be basically overlooked tonight, whereas Garland, Mobley, and Allen will all have decent ownership. But I sort of like the idea of getting to Mitchell, and then if you want to play the blowout angle, I like the idea of getting to some Levert. So those are the two contrarian guys I have from Cleveland tonight.
Is this still the NBA Cup?
Right now, tonight, I believe is the last. Yes, I'm 99% sure that it is.
Is point differential still a thing or no?
Yeah, it's a thing, but I'm not sure. Let's see. Let me just make sure it is tonight. Yeah, it's definitely a thing, and I just want to make sure the games. It's weird because they don't play them all at the same time, so I sometimes forget which Tuesdays are the right ones. But I think this is the last one, right?
No, my point is that if point differential is still a thing, the blowout risk is mitigated to some degree.
That's true. That's true, and you should give the minutes. Absolutely, I'll do a little bit more digging and just see where everybody's at before we go next. With the weekend and missing some of the NBA slates, I'm a little behind on that, but I'll do a little more digging before 6. All right. Next up, what do you have? Indy and Toronto.
Yeah. So, yeah, I blink, and next thing you know, I have Scotty Barnes at 40% ownership. Okay. He certainly looks like one of the better plays on the slate. I don't know what's been going on with him, but he at 8,300 he's projecting extremely well, and the ownership is following. So I guess I'm going to be a fish and agree with it. I guess. Other guys from Toronto, RJ Barrett 7,900, he's getting owned as well. I guess I don't know who's out or anything like that, but Pirtle 7,200. What's going on from Indiana? Indiana, I'm not really getting much of anything though. What we like this Toronto stuff?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, this is like the dream game. I feel like
Okay.
I just think this is like such a like great spot because they both play fast and don't play especially like a ton of defense. I'm kind of confused by how much Obi Toppin I was getting early on, and I don't really see why exactly. I know it's a good matchup, but like it's not like there's any reason that he should project quite as well as he does, in my opinion. I like the main guys. I like the Siakam. I like Miles Turner. I like Halliburton, but I feel like an idiot every time I say it out loud because I feel like he's just not been the same this year. But this matchup is so good, and like you mentioned with the Toronto guys, like you've got Scotty Barnes looking like a terrific play. You've got RJ Barrett looking like a really good play. I love Podol tonight in this matchup. So I do have this as a definitely a stackable game, and I can find the other pieces that I need for value elsewhere. But I really like this game. I'm in on this. And as Christopher's pointing out, it is a point differential game for the Cavs. So I think you can probably squeeze a few extra minutes out of those starters. And I think we all love Barnes, and I'm just a little worried about like he's going to be like 50% owned. I still think it's a really good play, and I probably will eat that chalk. If I'm not, I would probably just switch to Barrett or Podol. But I do want to get some game stacks in of this one. All right, Orlando and New York.
Yeah, it's too bad that he's completely out of the rotation now, and there's nobody injured. Otherwise, I would definitely take a shot at Cole Anthony in Madison Square Garden. He just doesn't play anymore.
Yeah.
Aside from that, not even aside from that, like including that, I don't really have too much here. Boy, oh boy, why do I have nothing? I thought all these Knicks played like 40 minutes. They do, but I'm just not getting any of them for some reason. Really, like nothing. Like Cat's up to 9,200. Yeah, I don't know. I just is Franz Wagner still a thing?
I think so.
Yeah, I'm not getting anything here.
Yeah, I don't mind. The Wagner's price is a little bit much for this matchup, but I do want to like. I'm going to keep riding it. The usage is incredible. The performances in any game that's close has mostly been there. And when the game's close, he's playing like 37 to 40 minutes. So he sort of fits in with the same as the Knicks guys. None of the Knicks guys at their prices stand out to me, but I kind of like Karl Anthony Towns. I'll go out of my way to be over the field on that one. The other one would be Jalen Brunson, but I don't really feel like as committed. I mean, Orlando plays slow. These are two good defensive teams. Well, the Knicks offense has been better this year than their defense, which is kind of surprising. But I wouldn't cross anybody out from this. Only ones I have it's not even a priority, but a semi-priority would be Cat and Jalen Brunson. Yeah, the point differential is going to be in play for everybody. I'm just going to do some digging and make sure that I'm not getting anything wrong with the point differential. And honestly, I should have done this before this morning, but I just messed up on that. All right, Utah and OKC.
I have nothing on the Utah side. OKC, I just have kind of spend up sort of like Shea at 10-3 looks decent enough. Isaiah Hartenstein at 7,300 looks decent enough, and Jalen Williams at 8,800 looks decent enough. Aside from that, I'm really not into too much in this game. Again, another big spread. I'm not getting anything on Utah at all.
Yeah, I'm not getting anything on Utah at first glance either. Like maybe I'll change my mind and throw Larry Markkinen into something later, but as of right now, I don't have anything that's a priority in any kind. Jalen Williams, 8,800. I think it's worth taking some shots there. I like that. I like Shea tonight. Again, the point differential mattering means these guys probably stay out there a little bit longer. They're just really deep in general. They probably can win it without those guys. If you wanted to get, if we don't get more value later in the day, I'm not going to cross off Aaron Wiggins or Isaiah Joe or Casey Wallace. So a bunch of things I kind of like, and Hartenstein is probably my favorite of the whole bunch. He and Shea are, the two I would probably end up with the most of. But yeah, not at first glance like something that I'm like in love with. But remember that point differential thing is a big thing tonight. All right, Memphis in Dallas.
All right, so I got I'm gonna say philosophical question or whatever, but is it time to release Ja Morant or not yet? He hasn't broken 30 yet as far as minutes go.
Yep.
But and I don't really follow the coach speak or whatever it is, but at Luka, if they're so inclined to decide that Morant is going to be released, I would play him at 0% ownership. I would just throw that out there. As far as actual projected players that look good, I've literally nobody. Luka is like always in play. So for me, nothing really. Though I would love to say that I played Morant in his first game that he actually exploded. I just can't responsibly. I can't responsibly recommend it until I see a sign of it. Like if this were like a nationally televised game or something, I mean, maybe is he pushing 30? I mean, maybe not really. I'm 29. He had 33 in November. I mean, earlier before he had that a couple of weeks off again.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you like?
I'm on the same way of thinking as you are. I'll take a shot on him at no ownership at all, especially against Dallas. This is fast pace. Should be a good matchup. Should be a good game. The only other one I was really getting too much of was a tiny bit of Brandon Clark and a tiny bit of Jalen Wells. Just again, that's if other value doesn't open up. So it's really going to depend on, because we probably will have something else to open up, and we'll probably have something on the other side. I mean, you've got Lively who's questionable and Clay who's questionable. Anything happens there, and I think that you got to have some interest. But the thing that jumps out to me in this one is that I know he hasn't been the same this year. I know we haven't seen the same exact thing, although he did put up 72 his last game. If we can get Luka at 11K versus Giannis at 12K, kind of feels like we're supposed to play a good amount of Luka tonight. That's just my take. But he's really the only one I'm currently getting to. However, that will likely change if we lose Clay and or Lively. If we lose Lively, Gafford becomes a strong play. If we lose Clay, we start having the Dinwiddie, Grimes, Hardy conversation a little bit. But if we lose both of them, that rotation will tighten up. And I have to double check where they stand in the cut ratings here. But this game has a nice, huge total and feels like we're supposed to do something. As of right now, I just have Luka as the main piece with potentially Ja on the other side. And I think that's not. There are worse guys to go to bat with than those two. All right, San Antonio and Phoenix.
All right, I got something for you, I guess. So Wemby obviously is a good play. I mean, he's always a good play. Jeremy Sohan, he's a center now. Is that accurate?
So weird, yeah. Last year we could only play him at point guard.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll try. I don't know. Mason Plumlee's 4K, and he did start, quote unquote, the last game. He only played 16 minutes starting, but in fairness, I mean, he was 1 for 5 from the field. So maybe you know, it was just no thanks. But I don't know. I mean, somebody to battle Wemby a little bit, maybe get extra minutes out of Mason Plumlee somehow. I don't know. Aside from that, I don't got much.
Yeah, unless they do the weird bull out of nowhere playing a bunch of minutes, I don't really know how you're not going to have minutes for Plumlee tonight. So what he does with them, maybe another story, but I do think that it makes plenty of sense just given the matchup. But I don't really have I like Wemby. I always like Wemby a little bit, but Luka's almost the same price. Feels like that seems like a little bit safer. Look, there's plenty of a ceiling for Wemby, but again, I think I'd rather play Luka just at 400 more. And then I think you could always take shots on Kevin Durant. The other one who's popping up a little bit, and I'm kind of surprised about it, is Tyus Jones. He's been good lately, but he looks like he's going to have some ownership, and I didn't exactly understand why or what makes this a special night. Maybe nothing makes it special, but it's just good enough. And Bradley Beal, we have as probable right now. Obviously, if anything changes with that, we can drop him out. For some reason, his projection is insanely low. I don't want to play Bradley Beal, but I was just sort of when I looked at first, I was like, oh, is he really questionable? And then I looked, and he's really not questionable. He's probable as of right now. But mostly for me, it'd be Plumlee, and then maybe some Wemby, maybe some Durant. And I'm just going to rebuild my lineup so I can get my current exposures right now. And the Luka thing just feels almost like shouldn't you start your builds with that spend up? I just feel like 11K. I don't know. In a good matchup, I think I'm just going to have to do it. So even though the Sims were giving me none of Luka, I might end up heavily on Luka tonight.
Well, let's you know what? I was about to run a sim, but I don't have time. Yeah. Okay, sounds good. What do we got? 6 o'clock tonight?
5 at 6.
6 o'clock. I will see